Right. There was a man called Willie Lynch.
I was going to talk about that.
And he designed, okay, if you got 20.
I don't mean to cut you off, but this is just round one.
Oh,
And we're just
okay.
we're just going around
Well, anyway,
introducing. We're just going around introducing ourselves.
Oh, that's right.
At
I was
this
just
point.
supposed to be doing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, the bottom line is there was Willie Lynch, and he taught, and he wrote this letter, how to keep black people apart, how to keep them from...
For the next 100 years, I'm Dorothy Moffat, by
Yeah.
the way.
Okay.
And I have to interrupt because, you know, I love this man, and he can go on and on forever. And what he said about Willie Lynch, his whole theory was how to keep us at each other's throat. And by the way, I'm 10 and plus. For the next 100 years, but what he didn't realize how to keep us at each other's throats for the next eternity. And we truly are our own worst enemies. That's the bottom line as far as I am concerned. We don't come together collectively as a community and support each other. I mean, even with your politicians and everything you see in there, we're responsible because we name recognition. We just keep voting the same people in over and over. And they're selling us out.
Joyce?
My name is Joyce Downs, and that's, I was going to touch on I'm 10 plus at minimum. 10. I was going to touch on the voting aspect, and as far as I can remember, voting for the president seemed to always be the big push, voter push. But really, it's your local voting
Absolutely.
that really counts, that really makes a difference for your community, because those are the people that are representing, the community. I was looking at the sample ballot that came in the mail. I don't know anybody on there other than Garcette. I don't know, I've never heard of anybody on there. So that's up to me to do my homework and what I need to do to figure out who these people are, and I think that that's what all of us have to do. We don't have a leader. You have to lead yourself. And we don't always have to agree, but we do have to work together.
Absolutely.
So I would really like for us to learn how to disagree respectively, and it doesn't matter that we're not doing the same thing. We can't do the same thing and get something done. Everybody needs to do something different. You do whatever it is you do it, and at some point we will come together because we will have, I guess, piece together a quilt, so to speak, and at some point we will come together, but just don't get in my way and I won't get in yours. We just have to respect each other and everybody lead themselves. We know what needs to be done.
My name is Courtney, and I think I agree with what everyone said in terms of being at a 10. I think I'm encouraged by, both what you said, Lucy, as well as thinking about this idea of 30 years forward. Like, we're reacting to what's already been set in motion. So kind of the positivity of, like, we have a whole other generation that has come up that, for whatever you may feel about the politics of Barack Obama, 8-year-olds have only known a black president. And so even thinking about what those children can do, or even, at USC where we are, like our students as undergrads, the potential and the things that they're already thinking about and organizing together on campus and what they're doing. So I'm not over my 10 yet, but I'm hopeful because of thinking 30 years out what these kids can do and will do, because it is on my generation and the generation younger than me to step up and take that. It doesn't need to be everybody that's already fought through all these other struggles to continue having to do that. So I'm encouraged, at least by what that 30 years from now could look like with what we have, what these pieces are now.
Well, I'm not sure how I would rate it, but it's up there. I view this as a learning opportunity for us. None of this is new. It's not new. It's just in your face now. So this has been going on ever since I can remember. I'm from the segregated South. And I think that we thought we had arrived. If we choose not to take this opportunity to learn from this, then our destiny, I just don't think we could, it's not sustainable. So at least we know it's out. It's not undercover. We have to reach out to our children. And Marvin and I were talking about some books that we read, college. Animal Farm. We all need to go read Animal Farm.
1984.
In 1984, but even in Animal Farm, you had these animals that had roles. That's where we are.
Exactly.
So when you dumb down your education system, and you have people who are not able to think and process information, these are our young people. And some of us were fortunate that we had, at the time we grew up, or we were in school, we had teachers who were committed. Because knowledge was the only thing that no one could take from you. They could kill you, they could castrate you, they could do whatever they wanted to. But that I know, you can't take from me. You can't take it. So I think that this is a great learning experience for all of us, and I think we need to take advantage of it. And if we don't, well, first of all, we might not be here anyway, but it won't just be us. This universe will not be the way we know it, and that's where we're headed right now.
Okay, I'm Marvin. Hi. I guess I'm at a 5 because this thing we're facing is really not that deep. The people or the things that are being presented to us are really beneath us. And I think the challenge we have is positioning ourselves properly. And what I wanted to do was to offer some framework in terms of how to look at what we're facing. And then we could talk about how to deal with it. But these frameworks are really important, and they are kind of the summation of my lifelong learning curve. The first one is we're not facing an individual or individuals. We are really responding to a system that is global. So this conversation that we're having here, we could pick this up and drop it down into 100 cities around the world, and it'd be totally the same issues, everything verbatim. So, I say this. Like, this is a book by Walter Mosley. A friend of mine gave it to me, and it's like working on the chain gang.
Oh, yes.
It's like a long essay. But in it, he basically describes the system as the plantation. And I find that very useful. Instead of talking about capitalism, instead of talking about racism and sexism and homophobia, the plantation. And that is the system that we're all functioning within. And it's everywhere. There's no way you can leave or run and escape it, because it is the assumed operating system, almost like a computer. It's like the operating system of the planet. So as soon as you turn on your computer, that's what pops up. What is on us now, since we're at a point, a pivot point really, is to change system. I don't know if you all are PC lovers. I'm a Mac guy. We need to switch from a PC to a Mac. We need to change our operating system. And to do that, we have to be aware of the plantation system, what all that is. And then we have to look at our system. And we're not creating a system. Our system already exists. The problem is we don't pay attention to it because we're totally focused on the plantation system. We get our news from the plantation. We get our religion from the plantation. We get our value system, our attitudes, our political discussion from the plantation. If you're talking about an elected official, every elected official, I don't care who they are, puts their hand on the Bible and swears to uphold and defend the plantation. If you turn on the news and you're looking at a black face, that's a plantation staffer. If you look at a football player, a basketball player, that's staff for the plantation. So then you have to ask ourselves, well, where is our world? You know, where is ours? You know, well, it's right here. You know, right now, plantation is not in control of this conversation. Yes. Okay. So right now, you know, we're right in our own world right here. In this space, in this store. You know, this is ours. You know, you walk down the street, that's plantation. You step in here, this is ours. Yes. You know, go over there somewhere, that's ours. Yes. Cultural spaces are ours. Yes. You know, not entertainment, but culture is ours. Now, I'll give this to you, and you can, you know, look at this later, but I've really broken this down for convenience. And I'm talking about the plantation system and what I call the new world, our world, in you, the new African world. And why I call it African is because we're African American, but we're focused on America, which is 200 years old, and we're ignoring Africa, which is 4 million years old. So we're leaning on a limp foot instead of a good foot. And we need to get on the good foot. And we can talk about this later, but this is one of the frames that I wanted to share with you. The plantation, you know, and the new. The other pivot is shifting our focus from the political realm, the political economic realm, to the cultural realm. You know, if we're dealing with politics and money, you know, somebody has that already. And what I've learned through the years is when you come after their money, you know, bad consequences happen. But the reality is we don't really want what they want. People, not just black people, people all over the planet, just basically want to live. You don't want hordes of this or hordes of that. You just want things to be cool. We ain't trying to run your life. We ain't trying to rule. We just, and can you please just back up off of me and let me flow? Can I get that? No. No, and less and more and more and more. Because in the plantation, if you look at each one of the items that characterizes the plantation, there's a constituency that is advocating for that. There are people promoting those things. If it's racism, the Klan, there's white supremacists, there are people, you know, on that. If it's homophobia, there's people who are on that. If it's sexism, if it's economic exploitation, there are people who are every one of those has a cadre of people, and that's their belief system. And they're functioning and actively working to make that happen. The challenge, you know, for us, and this is really important, this is not just us. This is happening everywhere. Everywhere I've ever been. And I haven't traveled as many of you have, but every place I've ever been, this is the same thing happening. If you go to Asia, you know, I remember, you know, these Indian farmers who were committing suicide because, you know, I mean, and who was it? Clinton apologized for, you know, some rice transactions that he made that decimated their economy. You look at Mexico, you know, reasons these immigrants are coming here is because they decimated their agricultural economy. The Caribbean is in chaos. I just came back from Nassau. There were 20 murders in Nassau in January. It's never happened. the same guns that are decimating here, Chicago, Detroit, New York, it's everywhere. Jamaica, so the same, we're facing the same thing, and we cannot continue. So either we're going to make a pivot, or as Ida says, and as I look at it, it's not that complicated to do. The conversation is that we're not together. We're the most together people on earth.
Wow.
On earth. On earth. And the reason we don't think we're together is because we have no way of communicating with each other. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know who we are. We don't, because all of our information is being fed to us through the lens of people who hate us. And we're tuning into it and pretending like it's normal. So when we stop normalizing and accepting insanity, and we start, wait a minute, that's not right. I'm just saying, the system works a certain way, the plantation works a certain way. Essentially, it is an economic instrument. It has no feeling for life or humanity. It's just about profit. It's just about the money. And if you look through those issues, as black people, we look at the system as racist. And think that, the story about the elephant, the blind people and the elephant. Everybody touched the elephant and figured it was something different. Well, that's what they've done, dividing. So the environmentalists look at this, it's an environmental issue, and they're destroying the planet. And the gay people say, no, everybody, the immigrants, everybody is looking at this same system from their own perspective, thinking this oppressing them. It's an oppressive thing. It just rolls on. It doesn't care. They kill their own children.
Okay.
They poison their own children with foods that shouldn't be consumed. They don't care. It's not about a black or white thing. It's not about a male or female. It's not about any of that. So to the extent that we are reacting to Donald Trump, Donald Trump he's like a flea on this system. He's just a distraction. Like all of these things are distractions, so we don't look at what is really confronting us. And there's a saying that the only way, or the best way, to combat an alien culture is to live, love, respect your own. The power that this thing seems to have, we give it. We are thinking about it. We're talking about it. We're worried about it. We're reacting to it. We're protesting it. Leave it alone. And in the 60s, we fought it. We were trying to destroy it. There are people still in jail. People died, trying to, Diop, civilization of barbarism. These are barbarians. It is a barbarian system. It is not civilized, and you can't outkill a barbarian. You cannot weaponize against a barbarian. The best thing to do is, leave it alone, let it pass, because it's not in our way. It is beneath our dignity.
If there's no resistance and we leave it alone, how does it play itself out?
Look at what is happening to it now. It is self-destructing. It is destroying itself. It just elected a fool. We didn't do it.
Where?
That system of its own volition elected a fool as its, president. And now he is challenging constitutionality, and they're at war with each other. And why would we step in the middle of them fighting each other?
House divided.
Well, Marvin, the wealth margin, but you said at its root, it's economic. It rolls over. That's its impetus.
Yes.
Wealth margins, nonetheless, are still increasing. So while those, folks who still make up that whatever percent you want to call them are at war with each other in terms of who's in this position and the policies that he's implementing, nonetheless, their wealth is increasing.
Yes.
So you say that, and I still wonder. I mean, is the system truly imploding, or is it redesigning it? Is it being redesigned anew in new configurations? I just say that to say, like, many people on a daily basis, that's, they cannot get outside of the economic system. They go to work, it is the plantation. Whatever space, and they're relying upon it in terms of paying their bills. And so inevitably we need to cultivate, as you're saying, kind of a different kind of ethos and collective system of ethics. Nonetheless, we still have to enter into these spaces on a daily basis. We leave our family members, and we have to go into this space that nonetheless says, leave that at the door. This is who I need you to be in this space in order to get that check and make sure your kids have their health care, and you can pay whatever money they can to go to that daycare. That's a ridiculous price.
But think back to how people on the plantation, from what we've read, because I wasn't on that plantation, again, they stayed connected. They did their stuff behind closed doors.
Right.
They helped each other. So you might have been, we are part of the plantation.
Right.
But as long as it doesn't get into who I really am, and I know who I am, then I can ride that train for a little while. But when I'm in my space with my friends and with our kids and stuff like that, that's where we have to carry and tell our story. We need our students, or I'm saying students, and maybe I guess because I don't have any children, but we need them to be informed. They need to read. We need to talk to them. We need to keep them thinking. We need to monitor that they're not listening to all. I'm not against rap and music. I love dancing. But it's just a song. But that's not how, if you really listen to the words, because before I listened to the beat, I didn't listen to the words. You listen to the words, they can corrode, they can get in, watching certain things on TV that we think are good things to watch on TV, like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon. All that's trash for our children. It's trash. It's teaching them to be superficial or reinforcing the need to be superficial. So we need to maintain, we need to keep in touch with what our young folks are doing, what they're saying, how they want to emulate. I don't know what to do. I mean, I probably wouldn't even be able to live to see some of this stuff, but I do know that it's very important that we not allow those things to change who I am and who I know I am. And I think that's the part that I believe I need to kind of keep in touch with. Because this other stuff, we are not going to change it. But we might be caught up in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Be of the world but not in it. I know there's some kind of scripture.
Right, that's right. That's right.
And I think that's what we have to be.
Yeah. So what you're saying is really identification, identifying